Hi, I'm State Representative Bruce Ayers, and I want to thank you for tuning in to my legislative update. As a state representative, I realize how important it is to stay in touch with my constituents and to make them aware of programs and services that the state offers that they may not be aware of. My office works in collaboration with many state agencies, along with Governor Patrick's administration. My topic on today's show is senior issues. I wanted to have an opportunity to make seniors aware of the many programs and services that the Commonwealth offers that they may not be aware of. And my guest to help me do that is Secretary Hartstein of the Executive Office of Elder Affairs. Secretary Hartstein is responsible for carrying out Governor Patrick's initiatives throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Secretary Hartstein, thank you for joining us on today's show.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
You know, my office receives an awful lot of calls from seniors, and I thought today's show would be just a good opportunity to kind of talk a little about some of the programs and services that your office oversees throughout the state of Massachusetts. And why don't we get right down to it, to a call I recently received from a senior that was interested in housing issues. Unfortunately, her husband had just passed away. She was recently widowed, and she was looking to find more information about supportive housing services. Her home was very big, and it required an awful lot of maintenance. And what she was trying to do was set some short and long-term goals for her housing needs, and in a way that she could be independent. And I didn't know, maybe if you could talk about that program.
Absolutely. There's so many different housing programs that are available to people, and it again depends on their individual circumstances, with what kind of resources they have, what kind of needs they have, and what they really want. You know, do they want to live with other people? Do they want to live alone? What is it that they're really looking for? So there's lots of options for people. For someone who doesn't really know what's available, we have a program called Options Counseling, and it's for people who are living in a certain setting, like their home, and are thinking they want to move to another setting, whether it be assisted living or just another kind of housing setting. And they can call and get an appointment with an options counselor, and it's through their Aging Services Access Point. So in your area, I believe it's South Shore Elder Services. And they can call there and ask to speak with an options counselor. And that options counselor can talk to them about what they're looking for, what they need, how it might fit into their life, and the kind of things that they're thinking they need to meet their own needs. For people who actually need more assistance, so people who are saying, you know, I can't take care of my home anymore, or I can't take care of myself anymore, there are other supportive housing sites that are available. Some of them are located in subsidized public housing. Some of them are available in independent housing. And there's many different opportunities for people. If people want to stay in their own home and feel like it's too much for them to take care of, there's also programs that will come into the home and help people with assistance they need there. But a great place for anybody to start who's looking for that kind of different information or things that they don't know about would be an options counselor.
You know, could you talk about the home care program with some of the eligibility requirements? If someone wanted to find out what these requirements were for the home care program, what the application process may be, perhaps you could talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. The home care program, again, is for people who need assistance, for the most part. They're looking for someone who can help them either take care of their daily needs or things like laundry and shopping, those kinds of things. And to find out about it, again, they should call their Aging Services Access Point, which is the South Shore Elder Services in your area, I believe. And they can have someone come out to the home, do an assessment, talk to the individual, see what they're looking for, and figure out what it is they need. There are some income guidelines. For people who exceed those income guidelines, the ASAP, the Aging Services Access Point, can help people figure out what other resources are available. But for people who qualify for home care itself, they can get the services at either reduced cost or no cost at all. There are income guidelines, and it's about, if people have, as an individual, if you have income around a little over $11,000 a year, which is fairly low, then there's no cost for the home care services if you need them. For a couple, it's a little bit higher. It's about $15,000 a year. But for people up to $36,000 a year, they can get services with some kind of copayment. So it's important for anyone who needs assistance to call and have a caseworker come out and talk with them about what their needs are, and then match them up with the kinds of services that might be available. Home care, well...
that's so important, that they find out that these formulas are out there. They could fall into one of these categories that they might not even be aware of.
Mm-hmm. And it's important for people to figure out that there's someone they can ask no matter what. We have a full information and resources office that you can call up on the phone at 1-800-AGE-INFO. So you can call that number. If you have access to a computer, you can do that. If you don't, you can call your local Council on Aging. Whether it's Quincy or Randolph, you can just call the Council on Aging and they can put you in touch with people who can help you sort through what your questions are. So anyone who has any needs at all should call and talk with someone to see what options are out there. Oftentimes, people think about their needs in very narrow ways. So people say, oh, I can't cook or I can't shop, so I need help with food. They also then say, or I can't do my cleaning, so I need help with housekeeping. Or my health insurance costs are so high, I need help with paying for my health insurance. What we try and do is have professionals who are available to sit down with someone and talk about everything that's going on in their life so that we can help them find the resources that can help them get through the difficult times or manage in regular times in a much easier fashion. So it's much easier for people if they talk to someone who can be more comprehensive in their assessment and to work with the individual to see what they want.
With this senior too that we were talking about earlier, she was going through such a tough period of her life too. To have a counselor come in and to make them aware of all the options that are out there was just a great service. To help put things back in perspective. Mm-hmm.
And it's really about addressing what the individual is looking for and thinking they might need. So it's an opportunity to talk with someone who has the professional background to say, oh, you're talking about this, but would this perhaps help that you haven't even thought about? It's like, oh yeah, what a great idea. I didn't even know that existed. So it's important for people to have access to someone who can help them sort out what their real questions are.
When it comes to senior planning and legal documents, living wills, healthcare proxies, DNRs, do not resuscitate. I know how important it is for families really to kind of take the time to sit down and prepare these documents. A lot of families may be unwilling to talk about it. It can be a sensitive issue. I know a lot of my friends' parents are at that age now where they're starting to get together to prepare these wills. Can you talk a little bit about how important it is to have these in place? And I also know that the National Healthcare Decision Day is coming up that kind of focuses around this.
Absolutely. There's the National Healthcare Decisions Day, and we're having one in Massachusetts as well to support it, and that's coming up on April 16th. The key to the Decisions Day is not only to encourage people to think about these documents and to fill them out, but just to educate people about the fact that they need to do that. And that's why I'm really pleased to be able to talk with you about it today, because this is a great opportunity to encourage people to think about it. Some of the documents are not just for old people. Okay, they're just not for older folks. It's for everyone. So every single one of us, no matter what age we are, should have these documents. And they are things that tell your healthcare professionals what it is you want should something happen to you. It's who you would want to make end-of-life care decisions or decisions at any point in a medical situation where you can't make those decisions yourself. There are things that, you mentioned the DNR, do not resuscitate. That's something that anytime anyone's in the hospital, they're going to be asked, do you want this or not? So they're documents that are just critically important for everyone to think about, not just people who are getting older. I was talking to an attorney the other day, and he was saying, if someone unfortunately is in an accident, whether they're young or old, and they go to the hospital, how does the hospital know what to do?
Yes.
And it's not just because they're old that they're there. They can't speak for themselves. Who should they speak? Who should speak for them? So it's important for everybody to have these kind of documents. For older people, it's especially important, and older people have an opportunity to actually talk about what they want. We've found that oftentimes older people do want to talk about it, but their kids don't really want to hear it. So it's one of those opportunities that perhaps the parents have to be the one to bring it up, and the kids have to be willing to hear what the person would like to know about.
And it can eliminate so many indifferences or confusion after the fact, to know that maybe what their parents' wishes were and how they wanted things put in place.
The conversations are not easy to have, and that's why the theme for the National Healthcare Decisions Day is start the conversation. And that's really what it's about. It's an ongoing conversation that people have. And as your circumstances change, your thoughts and your feelings about what you would like may change as well. So it's not something that you do once, you sign a piece of paper and you put it away and you never look at it again. The idea is it's an ongoing conversation that people should have with their families, and again, with the people that they expect, that they want to make those kinds of decisions for them.
Sure, it's just so important.
It is.
I wanted to talk a little bit about meals and nutrition. I received a call from a senior citizen, and he was having difficulty preparing meals due to his loss of some of his vision. Therefore, he wasn't getting the nutrition he needed, and he wasn't, in some cases, even getting 3 meals a day. When we did a little research, we discovered he was eligible for the home-delivered meals program, and now it has him back on an even keel, and he's getting the nutrition he needs. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about that.